Candace Owens has been around for a while, and many of us know who Candace Owens is. It's not, someone that many of us don't know. Well, for a long while, Candace Owens has been saying her little things, and the majority of the black community kind of took the approach of, well, just ignore, don't give her no kind of attention, let her just kind of do her thing with Turning Point USA, and if she say something, out of pocket, maybe we'll kind of go at her just here and there. But that particular policy about Candace Owens, just to go ahead and ignore her and don't give her any attention, that's not going to work anymore. And the reason why it's not going to work anymore is because Candace Owens went before Congress, and she tries to act like she's representing the greater black community, and she's not at all. I mean, this woman went before Congress and actually said that the Southern strategy was, I think she says, a hoax or a myth, when we know Lee Atwater clearly stated what the Southern strategy was and how it was implemented in politics in relation to talking about black people. We're going to play the clips, but we definitely need to get to the point where we got to start applying the pressure to Candace.
Thank you for having me here today. I received word on my way in that many of the journalists were confused as to why I was invited, and none of them knew that I myself was the victim of a hate crime when I was in high school. That's something that very few people know about me because the media and the journalists and the left are not interested in telling the truth about me because I don't fit the stereotype of what they like to see in black people. I'm a Democrat, I support the President of the United States, and I advocate for things that are actually affecting the black community. I'm honored to be here today in front of you all because the person sitting behind me is my 75-year-old grandfather. I've always considered myself to be my grandfather's child, and I mean to say that my sense of humor, my passion, and my work ethic all comes from the man that is sitting behind me. My grandfather grew up on a sharecropping farm in the segregated South. He grew up in an America where words like racism and white nationalism held real meaning under the Democrat Party's Jim Crow laws. My grandfather's first job was given to him at the age of 5 years old, and his job was to lay tobacco out to dry in an attic in the South. My grandfather has picked cotton, and he has also had experiences with a Democrat terrorist organization of that time, the Ku Klux Klan. They would regularly visit his home and they would shoot bullets into it. They had an issue with his father, my great-grandfather. During my formative years, I had the privilege of growing up in my grandfather's home. It's going to shock the committee, but not once, not in a single breath of a conversation did my grandfather tell me that I could not do something because of my skin color. Not once did my grandfather hold a gripe against the white man. I was simply never taught to view myself as a victim because of my heritage. I learned about faith in God, family, and hard work. Those were the only lessons of my childhood. There isn't a single adult today that in good conscience would make the argument that America is a more racist or a more white nationalist society than it was when my grandfather was growing up. And yet we're hearing these terms sent around today because what they want to say is that brown people need to be scared, which seems to be the narrative that we hear every 4 years right ahead of a presidential election. Here are some things we never hear. 75% of the black boys in California don't meet state reading standards. In inner cities like Baltimore, within 5 high schools and 1 middle school, not a single student was found to be proficient in math or reading in 2016. The single motherhood rate in the black community, which was at 23% in the 1960s when my grandfather was coming up, is at a staggering 74% today. I am guessing there will be no committee hearings about that. There are more black babies aborted than born alive in cities like New York, and you have Democrat Governor Andrew Cuomo lighting up buildings to celebrate late-term abortions. I could go on and on. My point is that white nationalism did not do any of those things that I just brought up. Democrat policies did. Let me be clear. The hearing today is not about white nationalism or hate crimes. It's about fear-mongering, power, and control. It's a preview of a Democrat 2020 election strategy, same as the Democrat 2016 election strategy. They blame Facebook, they blame Google, they blame Twitter. Really, they blame the birth of social media, which has disrupted their monopoly on minds. They called this hearing because they believe that if it wasn't for social media, voices like mine would never exist, that my movement Blexit, which is inspiring black Americans to leave the Democrat Party, would have never come about, and they certainly believe that Donald Trump would not be in office today. Looking on the next thing to focus on now that the Russian collusion hoax has fallen apart. What they won't tell you about the statistics and the rise of white nationalism is that they've simply changed the data set points by widening the definition of hate crimes and upping the number of reporting agencies that are able to report on them. What I mean to say is that they're manipulating statistics. The goal here is to scare blacks, Hispanics, gays, and Muslims into helping them censor dissenting opinions, ultimately into helping them regain control of our country's narrative, which they feel that they lost. They feel that President Donald Trump should not have beat Hillary. If they actually were concerned about white nationalism, they would be holding hearings on Antifa, a far-left, violent, white gang who determined one day in Philadelphia in August that I, a black woman, was not fit to sit in a restaurant. They chased me out. They yelled race traitor to a group of black and Hispanic police officers who formed a line to protect me from their ongoing assaults. They threw water at me. They threw eggs at me. And the leftist media remained silent on it. If they were serious about the rise of hate crimes, they may perhaps be examining themselves and the hate that they have drummed up in this country. Bottom line is that white supremacy, racism, white nationalism, words that once held real meaning, have now become nothing more than election strategies. Every 4 years, the black community is offered handouts and fear. Handouts and fear. Reparations and white nationalism. This is the Democrat preview. Of course, society is not perfectible. We've heard testimony of that today. There are pockets of evil that exist, and those things are horrible, and they should be condemned. But I believe the legacy and the ancestry of black Americans is being insulted every single day. I will not pretend to be a victim in this country, and I know that that makes many people on the left uncomfortable. I want to talk about real issues in black America. I want to talk about real issues in this country and real concerns. The biggest scandal, this is my last sentence, in American politics is that Democrats have been conning minorities into the belief that we are perpetual victims, all but ensuring our failure. Racial division and class warfare are central to the Democrat Party platform. They need blacks to hate whites, the rich to hate the poor, and soon enough it'll be the tall hating the short.
The time of the witness has expired.
Different classifications of hate crimes, which actually has increased and obviously impacts statistics. When I was in high school, I received a slew of messages from the Democrat governor of Connecticut's son, Mr. Daniel Malloy, and at the time he was the mayor of Stamford, and his son, along with 3 other boys, referred to me as the N-word, threatened to tar and feather my family and put a bullet in the back of my head like they did to Martin Luther King. This is a story that's not often spoken about because the media has no interest in telling the truth about how it's formed my views towards conservatism. The media turned it into a firestorm, and it became a political tool for people to gain power. The NAACP used me at that time, would just meet me outside of the school with cameras in tow to speak out against the crimes. Of course, now I'm older and I realize that that's really just a fundraising mechanism, and that a lot of these groups survive because they cannot have the problem fixed, ever. The NAACP never wants racism to go away. Bottom line, all I was looking for at that time was an apology. The youngest person in that car was 14 years old, and I understand that human beings can make mistakes and do stupid things, but we're not in a society anymore where an apology is good enough, and we're obsessed with labels. We're obsessed with labeling people as racist, as they did to those young boys, and it simultaneously impacted me as a victim. It's not fun to be a victim, and I'm adamantly against victimhood, and I speak out to the black community about how it ultimately harms us.
Every party gets to select its own witnesses. And of all the people that Republicans could have selected, they picked Candace Owens. I don't know Miss Owens. I'm not going to characterize her. I'm going to let her own words do the talking. So I'm going to play for you the first 30 seconds of a statement she made about Adolf Hitler.
I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets, the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German.
All right, so my first question is to Ms. Hirschenoff. Ms. Owens said, quote, if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. So when people try to legitimize Adolf Hitler, does that feed into white nationalist ideology?
It does, Mr. Liu. I know that Ms. Owens distanced herself from those comments later, but we expressed great concern over the original comments.
Great, thank you.
Gentleman from North Dakota, Mr. Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would yield my time to Mr. Reschenthaler from Pennsylvania.
Thank you. Ms. Owens, I'm sorry, we just started a recording. Would you like time to respond to that?
Yes, I think it's pretty apparent that Mr. Liu believes that black people are stupid and will not pursue the full clip in its entirety. He purposely presented an extracted clip.
The witness will suspend for a moment. It is not proper to refer disparagingly or to a member of the committee. The witness will not do that again. Witness may continue.
Sure, even though I was called despicable.
The witness may not refer to a member of the committee as stupid.
I didn't refer to him as stupid. That's not what I said. That's not what I said at all. You didn't listen to what I said. May I continue?
Please.
As I said, he is assuming that black people will not go pursue the full 2-hour clip. And he purposefully he cut off, and you didn't hear the question that was asked of me. He's trying to present as if I was launching a defense of Hitler in Germany, when in fact, the question that was asked of me was pertaining to whether or not I believed that whether or not I believed in nationalism, and that nationalism was bad. And what I responded to was that I do not believe that we should be characterizing Hitler as a nationalist. He was a homicidal, psychopathic maniac that killed his own people. A nationalist would not kill their own people. That is exactly what I was referring to in the clip, and he purposely wanted to give you a cut-up similar to what they do to Donald Trump to create a different narrative. That was unbelievably dishonest, and he did not allow me to respond to it, which is worrisome and should tell you a lot about where people are today in terms of trying to drum up narratives. By the way, I would like to also add that I work for Prager University, which is run by an Orthodox Jew. Not a single Democrat showed up to the embassy opening in Jerusalem. I sat on a plane for 18 hours to make sure that I was there. I'm deeply offended by the insinuation of revealing that clip without the question that was asked of me.
My biggest issue with Candace out this whole thing is that every time they was telling her something about something she said, or they was challenging something that's in her beliefs, she quickly says, black people. Oh, you think black people are stupid? Oh, you think black people are this or black people are that? They're not talking about black people, Candace. They're talking about you. You represent yourself. You don't represent the community. Now, if you want to say what you believe in your responses, you can do that. And then if you can accurately say something that's in relation to the black community outside of the points of the Democratic Party, then that's fine. But that's the only thing that I agree with you on, is about the Democratic Party. But you keep pushing this Blexit. Blexit to what? You read the recent Pew Research article that had about how blacks and whites feel about different things in this country, and it's based off of male, female, Democrat, Republican. Have you read those responses? Because the Republicans feel that we ask for too much in rights when we don't even have the rights that we need. They feel that we shouldn't have any kind of concessions. They definitely feel that we shouldn't have reparations or anything else. But see, you're fine with that, Candace, because you know what? You're the kind of person that's playing the game. I stated in my previous video on the Philip Scott Show channel, I stated that black folks that's going with the Republicans are playing the game to get the bag, okay? I've been told how they doing it and why they doing it. And if you follow them long enough, the ones that got the biggest mouths talking about conservative, and Donald Trump had, they getting paid, okay? Notice how they'll be on different networks. Notice how they'll be at the White House. Notice all the things that they be doing, right? They're not just a conservative supporter, and then all of a sudden they're supporting conservatives. But prior to Donald Trump coming to office, they wasn't on that. Right now, I would respect you if you were supporting conservative if Donald Trump was nowhere around and you've been on that forever. But all of a sudden, because Donald Trump come there, now you put on a red hat, it's because you're trying to get paid. Candace Owens is getting paid through Charlie Kirk, through Turning Point USA. There's some individuals right here on YouTube that I have engagement with at times that's with Turning Point USA and getting paid. They paid for all these black folks to go and have a dinner and have a good time or whatever, but they be the main ones saying black people don't need to be on welfare and black people don't need to take handouts from the white people. But yet when Turning Point USA want to give you some handouts, you take it because they're just trying to get in and they're trying to get the bag. My thing is, what makes them wrong is, well, if you want the bag, fine. Well, make sure the community get a bag too. But see, you don't care about the community. You only care about yourself. And you're peddling their talking points because it getting you paid. You're always talking about agent. That's the agents. Candace Owens is the agent. All those who run around with those red hats are the agents. Because what are they doing? They talking down to you from getting free. Every time you want to get free, every time you want something, to rectify like reparations, to free you from your economic disadvantage from the wealth gap in this country, they the main ones saying no, 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 no. They'll be the main ones to say put you back in slavery, as long as they can be a slave master too, because they are agents. They are straight agents. Now, I'm not talking about these Democrats are better. No. We already know my position on that. But you better understand the Candace Owens of the world. Let's say if Trump just all of a sudden say, I hear them talking about reparations. I'm thinking, maybe I should talk to them about that. She'd be first. No. They don't need no reparations. They weren't slaves. Forget them. No, you never know. Trump could try that. You don't know. Just off his arrogance and off his narcissism, right? I don't put nothing past anybody. She'll be the one that do that. Now, Diamond and Silk, they just somebody I laugh at. Just like I laugh at Jesse Lee. I don't get mad at now one of them. But that woman right there, Candace Owens, she's dangerous because now she's before the government talking about she represent you and me. That's a problem. So Ted Lieu played her speech talking about Adolf Hitler. Then she wants to get mad about it, that he played it. The fact is, you should not be commenting on anything about nationalism and Adolf Hitler or explaining that. That has, number one, nothing to do with you or black people at all, number one. I wouldn't even engage that kind of conversation. Anything about Adolf Hitler, that's stupid. The dude killed millions of people. What are you talking about? What are you even mentioning him for? And nationalism. Anytime they say nationalism, they mean them. And they don't include us as black people in that. We know when they say white nationalism, it means terrorism on black people. We know this based on history. But see, you about to marry one of them. I seen the little dude you about to marry. And when y'all get to that point, see, and I told y'all the difference is, and they say, oh, well, black men do this. No, the difference is when a female does it, she submits. So she's going to submit to her man. And she's going to take whatever form that her man wants. It don't matter what woman it is, they naturally will submit to that. And see, Candace is going to submit to this guy, Trump, hat wearing dude. So she's going to have the most vitriol. Now, he'll be cool with her doing what she's doing because she's getting the bag for him. So she's bringing all the bag back. I've even seen some black folks, which is very sad, say, oh, but look how strong she is. Look how she's talking to him. Now, any other time y'all would say a black woman has an attitude. And all I saw was a nasty attitude. Why is it that you praising her attitude? That was complete attitude. It was no reason to respond to those people the way she was responding to them. You can speak your piece. Go ahead and do that. But she had nothing but a nasty attitude. And if you deem her responding to people with an ugly attitude as strong, well, stop saying things about black women then, saying they got a bad attitude. Just say, hey, she's strong. Look at what she's doing. I mean, because anybody else, you'd be saying that's a nasty attitude. That's not a good representation of black women. Then I saw the sister that was sitting next to her. She kept looking at her like that the whole time. I was laughing at that because she was cutting at her like, well, she needs to shut up with all that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Candace is just, she's annoying in a lot of ways. And she's been allowed to get through the cracks and get away with what she's been get away with. Because, good and well, I call it what it is. It goes back to the Cardi B thing. In society, females like her, Cardi B, whatever, they get away with a whole lot. But if Candace Owens was a brother, number one, they wouldn't even let him up there. That's first and foremost, because they're threatened by black men. Then the second of all, the community would have came against that brother so quick for talking like that. They would have been checked that brother a long time ago. And lastly about Candace Owens, she keeps saying that she wants to wake black people up, but she keeps going to white platforms. And then when she do interview black people, because she have a show that she said on PragerU, She'll talk to black people, but it's on a white platform. She don't even have a platform of her own, or she won't go to black platforms and talk to them, because how you going to wake black people up, Candace Owens, and you don't come talk to no black platforms? We have many people who have platforms you can talk to. You can talk to us. You can go talk to Tariq Nasheed. You can go talk to, Professor Black Truth. You can go talk with him. You can go talk to, Brother Harvey. You can go talk to Sister Lisa. You can go talk to Nyla. You can go talk to so many people. Just on YouTube itself, you can go talk to. And try to wake us up and wake our audience up. But you don't ever want to have a conversation with black people. You don't even want to go talk to Roland of all people. And that's one I'll be thinking that you would go talk to. You get what I'm saying? So no, you're not trying to engage the black community. You're trying to get the bag. I know it. I see it. I've been told it's what you own by many people who are black Republicans, and they're not really what you got going on, but they're actually serious about being black Republicans. They actually care about the black community. See, I could talk to a black Republican all day long as I see they actually care about the community. Now, they're on there shucking and jiving. You only see me talking to them. I can't engage them. I can disagree with them, but I can't engage them. So when you have some care, I don't care about, your political affiliations, as long as we have the same heart that we have for the community. It can be different ways of going about doing it, but hey, you're still my brother, you're still my sister, that's fine. But Candace, you can't wake up the black community talking on Fox News. The black community don't watch Fox. They don't. I guarantee, are you going to HBCUs? And if you are, I would love to see it and how that turns out. Because I'm pretty sure you're not going to HBCUs. I mean, you talking about Blexit. How you going to Blexit not talking to black people? I mean, what's the logic in that? What is the logic in that? That'd be like me talking about something for black people, but I'm going to all white colleges and I'm talking about black people. I say, well, there's some black people in the crowd. No, you go talk to the HBCUs with a majority, well, not the majority, but a good portion of them at. I mean, that will show if you really want black people to bless it. You're not serious about that. And actually, if you were serious about it, because a lot of black people are angry right now with the Democratic Party for neglecting us, and which you're right about. I would never disagree with you on that part about how they have neglected us, how they haven't done nothing, how they've used benign neglect. Look, I'm with you 100% on that. That's the only thing I agree with you on. All the other that mess that you're talking about, no, we can't fly with that. But talk to black people. That's the only thing I'm saying. If you're serious about your so-called Blexit, and then when you talk about Blexit to what? Leave me a comment, let me think about the situation with Candace Owens. But we're going to have to kind of challenge her a little bit now. And because, hey, if we challenge Kamala Harris and made her change her tune, and we challenge Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, and all these politicians, and now they're changing their tune because of the pressure we have applied, and surely we can apply pressure to Candace Owens. That would be much easier than dealing with those politicians.